Hey everyone, Mike here with Prehistoric Magazine. Welcome back to another video. Now, in season one of Prehistoric Planet, we were extremely fortunate to see both Therizinosaurus and Deinocheirus. And I, for one, particularly loved each and every time they were shown on screen. The way they were depicted seemed as lifelike as we've ever seen. And to my knowledge, I don't think anyone's ever seen Deinocheirus on TV or popular media, and the same with Therizinosaurus. Now, Therizinosaurus did make a guest appearance in Jurassic World Dominion 2022. Pretty cool to see that. But if you think about the movie and Prehistoric Planet, both those animals look quite different. Now, topic of this video is Deinocheirus versus Therizinosaurus. Now, this is not necessarily about them fighting off and squaring off against one another, although that would be cool. This is literally a video about which animal was tougher, which animal would have been just a heftier, more difficult animal to not only take down, but to encounter. Now, in their environment, late Cretaceous Asia, both these animals lived in the same environment and they would have shared the same habitat with Tarbosaurus. Now, while I don't think a full-grown Tarbosaurus could have taken down either of these animals, who's to say that that couldn't have happened? I believe the young of both of these animals would have been fair game for a full-grown Tarbosaur. But nonetheless, Deinocheirus, Therizinosaurus, the most important part of this video will be your comments at the end of this video, and I'm really curious to hear them. Now, Therizinosaurus and Deinocheirus, both of them are about roughly the same size. They're both very big animals, and I do believe we have to give a slight size advantage to Deinocheirus. Now, Therizinosaurus stood between 13 to 16 feet tall, was roughly 33 feet in length, and weighed about 5 tons. Now, the amazing part of this animal came from its giant arms, which were close to 8 feet in length, and the claws on Therizinosaurus are, to date, the longest claws that we know on planet Earth. So until something else comes along and dethrones it, this animal currently has the title of the longest claws of any animal. At least that's what I've read. Hopefully I'm correct on that. But the claws are enormous, giant stake-like knives dangling and hanging from the end of its limbs. You can only imagine seeing this thing. These claws were about 3.2 feet in length. Would have been incredible to see this animal. And it would have been used for foraging and feeding and eating and things like that. But I think that it would have been a very scary animal to have encountered, and something like that with giant steak knives on the end of it, you probably would have wanted to steer clear of. Now, Deinocheirus on the other end of the things was of just about the same size, but I believe we have to give the size advantage to Deinocheirus here. Stood about 14 feet tall. I don't think it was as tall as Therizinosaurus, but maybe only a foot or two shorter. Maybe a little bit longer, 36 feet. And here's where the size advantage comes. I believe Deinocheirus weighed in about 6.5 to maybe upwards of 7.7 tons. So looks like Deinocheirus would have been the heavier animal. Now, it also had very long arms, incredibly long arms, almost 8 feet. And the claws were very big, not anywhere near the size of Therizinosaurus, but they were big nonetheless. So these 8-foot long arms of Deinocheirus ended in claws that were about 8 inches long. 3 claws, about 8 inches long. So there you have it. Both animals, they're both roughly over 30 feet in length, stand 13 to 14 feet tall, weigh close to 5 or 6 tons. They're basically the same size. I believe Deinocheirus is a little bigger. Now, Therizinosaurus, from what I've read, the claws were not as thick and robust as that of Deinocheirus. So, for my opinion on this, who would have been the heftier animal? Who would have been the tougher animal to boss around? My money would have been on Deinocheirus simply because the claws were thicker, they weren't as long, they weren't as brittle, and if they struck you, you would have been hurt. And most importantly, probably that Deinocheirus is going to keep those claws. Now, a lot of people speculate that if Therizinosaurus struck an animal, maybe like a Tarbosaur, came in too close, that it would have lost part of its claw or something would have happened because they're long and brittle and kind of delicate in that sense. Again, taking nothing away from that animal, 3.2 feet in length for the claws is an extraordinary length. Like I said, currently the longest on planet Earth, but for the topic of this video, my money would have been on Deinocheirus being just the tougher, heftier animal. you would not have wanted to mess with this animal. You would have wanted to steer clear of it if you were Tarbosaurus. Now, for the young Deinocheirus, I believe it would have been fair game for an adult Tarbosaurus. But brings me to the most important part of the video, your comments. Love to hear them. Who do you think was the tougher animal in late Cretaceous Asia? Therizinosaurus or Deinocheirus? Appreciate the support. See you in the next video.